a shovel in hand, she roams the universe, exploring every land, no map, no reverse. Oh, dig a 420, curious Canuck, answers on your mind, never getting stuck. Riding waves of stars through the cosmic sea, finding who we are in the galaxy. She's got questions to ask and a fire that won't die, unraveling each task under the sky. Oh, dig a 420, curious Canuck, answers on your mind, never getting stuck. Riding waves of stars through the cosmic sea, finding who we are in the galaxy. She's got questions to ask and a fire that won't die, unraveling each task under the sky. Oh, dig a 420, curious Canuck, answers on your mind, never getting stuck.
Because, Hello, hello, hello. It is 11:02. It is finally sunshiny. It is nice out again. It keeps trying to do these thunderstorms all last week. This week, it's been not summery at all. This last winter was the mildest winter we've ever had ever, and now this is a very, very mild summer too. Not at all like normal. But on the flip side, my strawberries are growing like nobody's business, and I've got another handful of freshly picked strawberries sitting on a plate right over there. So that's what I get to have with my yogurt for lunch today. Very, very good. I'm excited. Looks like StreamYard's they've changed a couple things. So okay, it looks like that's just okay. Yeah, no, it just made it look a little different. Looks like it still works the same way. It's just looks a little different. They do that from time to time. Any which way. First things first, I'm going to, oh, wait a minute. No, I've got to do it over here. Because the little ticker tag at the bottom of the screen isn't really easy. It's not really easy to do, and people have asked, so I'm going to start to remember to pin it at the beginning of the streams, preferably before I hit live, not after. I'm working on it. Anyways, if you'd like to support the channel, here, there we go. And then copy, send that, pin. Oh, the thing's not big enough. There we go. Pin message. There we go. Same thing over here. Paste, send, and pin. There we go. All right. Job done. Now I don't have to worry about the ticker. That's golden. We are here again today reading Prepare by Stephen Gosney. Prepare, the Handbook on Individual Freedom. It's I think we're at the end now. This is we're reading the quotes that have kind of been important within his life that he's written down and kind of referred back to. So we'll go through, and we started to try and go through it, but I'm going to do take a different tact this time. I'm going to read all of the quotes under each section. And then if you guys have got any comments or questions, we can go over them after I've read them all, as opposed to trying to go one by one by one, because we kind of got sidetracked. I mean, great conversation, but a little sidetracked and not quite talking about law and tyranny, which was the topic of the quotes that we were tackling. So so we'll do it a little bit differently, see if this works a little bit better, keeping us on topic. But yeah, let's do this thing. So I'm just going to go back just a titch. It says, when you read this, take it slow, read each quote and stop. Think about what's being said and reflect on the deeper meanings. Apply the thought to how you perceive the world around you. This is not fast food. Savor each taste. So that's what I was doing last time, or that's what I intended to do last time. But we didn't really have very much to discuss on the first 2 or 3. And then I believe it was the fourth one that we got to, and we started talking on that subject, but we kind of meandered past and we didn't get on any 4. Or onto any more, rather. Hi, MSO. How you doing? So I think that's what we'll do. We'll read all of the ones under each topic, then we can discuss and then go on to the next topic. So the first topic is law and tyranny. So here we go with the quotes. The end of the law is not to abolish or restrain, but to preserve and enlarge freedom. For in all the state of created beings capable of laws, where there is no law, there is no freedom. For liberty is to be free from restraint and violence from others, which cannot be where there is no law, and is not, as we are told, a liberty for every man to do as he lists. For who could be free when every other man's humor might domineer over him? But a liberty to dispose and order as he lists his person, actions, possessions, and his whole property within the allowance of those law as under which he is, and therein not to be the subject of the arbitrary will of another, but freely follow his own. That was John Locke in 2 Treatises on Civil Government, 1689. Law is common force organized to prevent injustice. That was Frederick Bastiat, who wrote in The Law, 1850. I like that. Law is common force organized to prevent injustice. The worship of the state is the worship of force. There is no more dangerous menace to civilization than a government of incompetent, corrupt, or vile men. The worst evils which mankind ever had to endure were inflicted by bad governments. The state can be, and has often been, in the course of history, the main source of mischief and disaster. Ludwig von Mises in Omnipotent Government, The Rise of the Total State and Total War, 1944. From whence shall we expect the approach of danger? Shall some transatlantic military giant step the earth and crush us at a blow? Never. All the armies of Europe and Asia could not by force take a drink from the Ohio River or make a track on the Blue Ridge in the trial of 1,000 years. No, if destruction be our lot, we must ourselves be its author and finisher. As a native of free men, we will live forever or die by suicide. Abraham Lincoln in his Lyceum address in 1838. It is the eternal struggle between these two principles, right and wrong, throughout the world. They are the two principles that have stood face to face from the beginning of time and will ever continue to struggle. The one is the common right of humanity, and the other the divine right of kings. It is the same principle in whatever shape it develops itself. It is the same spirit that says, you toil and work and earn bread, and I'll eat it. No matter in what shape it comes, whether from the mouth of a king who seeks to bestride the people of his own nation and live by the fruit of their labor, or from one race of men as an apology for enslaving another race, it is the same tyrannical principle. Abraham Lincoln, the Lincoln-Douglas debates, 1858. Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. Or one day we will spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it was once like in the United States where men were free. Ronald Reagan, in his remarks at the annual convention of Kiwanis International, July 6, 1987. The welfare of humanity is always the alibi of tyrants. Albert Camus, in The Homage to an Exile, 1955. This and no other is the root from which a tyrant springs. When he first appears, he is a protector. Plato, from 427 to 347 BC. Of all tyrannies, a tyranny exercised for the good of its victims may be the most oppressive. It may be better to live under robber barons than under omnipotent moral busybodies. The robber baron's cruelty may sometimes sleep. His cupidity may at some point be satiated. But those who torment us for our own good will torment us without end, for they do so with the approval of their own conscience. They may be more likely to go to heaven, yet at the same time likelier to make a hell on earth. This very kindness stings with intolerable insults. To be cured against one's will and cured of states which we may not regard as disease is to be put on a level of those who have not yet reached the age of reason, or those who never will, to be classed with infants, imbeciles, and domestic animals. C.S. Lewis, in The Humanitarian Theory of Punishment, 1973. We did make it further than I thought, because we did read some of these already. The greatest dangers to liberty lurk in insidious encroachment by men of zeal, well-meaning but without understanding. That was Olmsted v. United States, 277 U.S., 438, 479, and that was in 1928. Brandelis J. dissenting. The accumulation of all powers, legislative, executive, and judiciary, in the same hands, whether of one, a few, or many, and whether hereditary, self-appointed, or elective, may justly be pronounced the very definition of tyranny. That was James Madison, The Federalist Papers, number 47. Power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Great men are almost always bad men, even when they exercise influence and not authority. Still more when you super add the tendency or the certainty of corruption by authority. That's a misspell, but I'm not sure what that word was supposed to be. Still more when you add the tendency or the certainty of corruption by authority. Okay, I think that makes more sense. Let me try that one again. Power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Great men are almost always bad men, even when they exercise influence and not authority. Still more when you add the tendency or the certainty of corruption by authority. There is no worse heresy than that the office sanctifies the holder of it. Lord John Dalberg Acton, 1887. There's no way to rule innocent men. The only power any government has is the power to crack down on criminals. Well, when there aren't enough criminals, one makes them. One declares so many things to be a crime that it becomes impossible to live without breaking laws. That's Ayn Rand, Atlas Shrugged, 1957. One of my favorite Supreme Court justices is Robert H. Jackson. You will see going forward a bunch of wonderful quotations from him, and here is the first. The qualities of a good prosecutor are as elusive and as impossible to define as those which mark a gentleman. And those that need to be told would not understand it anyway. A sensitiveness to fair play and sportsmanship is perhaps the best protection against the abuse of power. And the citizen's safety lies in the prosecutor who tempers zeal with human kindness, who seeks truth and not victims, who serves the law and not factional purposes, and who approaches his task with humility. Justice Robert H. Jackson in an address to federal prosecutors in 1940. Applying this admonition in a 1984 null prose, an assistant state attorney wrote, "A prosecutor is under a duty to protect the innocent and bring a criminal prosecution in good faith. This duty to protect the innocent is greater and more imposing than the duty to vigorously prosecute the guilty." He concludes by the null prose by saying, "No prosecutor should subject any citizen to prosecution for a crime punishable by life imprisonment unless the evidence is sufficient legally to prove the case beyond every reasonable doubt, and unless the prosecutor is personally convinced beyond every reasonable doubt of the defendant's guilt. This case does not meet that standard." Well, that's a pretty stand-up prosecutor. I agree. Supreme Court Justice Associate Justice Robert Jackson in 1949, in a dissent to the decision in the freedom of speech case, Terminiello versus City of Chicago, 1949, wrote a 24-page dissent in response to the court's 4-page decision. The dissent concluded, "The choice is not between order and liberty. It is between liberty with order and anarchy without either. There is danger that, if the court does not temper its doctrinaire logic with a little practical wisdom, it will convert the Constitutional Bill of Rights into a suicide pact." This phrase has been modified and shortened to the more common saying, "The Constitution is not a suicide pact." But when notice is a person's due, process which is a mere gesture is not due process. Justice Robert H. Jackson in Mullane versus Central Hanover Bank and Trust Co., 1950. Those who begin coercive elimination of dissent soon find themselves exterminating dissenters. Compulsory unification of opinion achieves the only unanimity of the graveyard. Achieves only, there we go. That's why that didn't make sense to me. My mistake. Those who begin coercive elimination of dissent soon find themselves exterminating dissenters. Compulsory unification of opinion achieves only the unanimity of the graveyard. I don't know why I'm stumbling over that one. That's Justice Robert H. Jackson in West Virginia State Board of Education versus Barnett, 1943. Hello, Alan. How you doing, bud? Good to see you. Richard M. Weaver published Ideas Have Consequences in 1948. It's a tremendous source of thoughts and quotes. I may have quoted Weaver more than any other thinker in this book. To begin, here are 3 of my favorites. Almost every trend of the day points to an identification of right with the purpose of the state. The modern state does not comprehend how anyone can be guided by something other than itself. In its eyes, pluralism is treason. And lastly, no society is healthy which tells its members to take no thought of the morrow because the state underwrites their future. I'm glad you're doing good, bud. I've got an idea I will be posting in the Vice's Discord. I'm thinking it would be cool if the Vice Squad or the Vice's Mod Squad, if we could get together once a month and do like game night or something, just in a Discord voice, not like a live stream, just hanging out in the Discord and playing some games and doing silliness, just to give us a chance once a month to kind of bond and get together and catch up. So I'll post something about it in the Discord later, but I don't know if that's something you think would be a good idea. But I kind of miss seeing you guys on the regular. Anyways, back to it. The Constitution deals with substance, not shadows. Its inhibition was leveled at the thing, not the name. It intended that the rights of the citizen should be secure against deprivation for past conduct by legislative enactment under any form, however disguised. If the inhibition can be evaded by the form of the enactment, its insertion in the fundamental law was a vain and futile proceeding. Hello, Linda. You're watching till the battery dies? All right. Thank you. That was Cummings versus Missouri. Wall, 1867. Here's the same idea, but stated more succinctly 64 years later. The Constitution is concerned not with form, but with substance. That's Gasoline Products & Co. versus Champlin Ref & Co., 1931. The court must be vigilant to scrutinize the attendant facts with an eye to prevent violations of the Constitution by circuitous and indirect methods. Byers versus United States, 1927. Hello, Doom. I have no idea what's going on with the Imholt stuff, honestly. Johnny and I were live, and everyone was swarming into the chat saying he was arrested. He's got a mugshot. He didn't believe it. And then there were enough people saying it. I went and checked, and yeah, apparently he was listed as having been arrested. Looked like there was 2 new charges. I don't know if that's the same mugshot or a new one. Haven't the slightest clue. So I let Johnny know that. But then Aaron was out and streaming last night, or I don't know about last night, but he was definitely streaming this morning. And I haven't heard what exactly has happened. So it sounds like it's wild, but I don't understand what exactly it is. Does he have new charges, or is it just the old charges and sentencing has been pushed off for some reason? I have no idea, but he didn't spend the night in jail because he's streaming. So I'm guessing he didn't actually get rearrested. When will I be reading the Bible? Is asking Alan. I don't know. I honestly, I didn't even think of doing that. I was kind of debating. There's some esoteric apocrypha books that for one reason or another were not added into the King James version, which is the one that I'm most familiar with. I also just recently learned that there are more books in the Catholic Bible than there are in the King James. I didn't realize that. I thought the Catholics used the same King James Bible as we did. So I would be interested in doing that. I was kind of thinking the book of, oh, shoot. There are so many different names that start with E. Elijah, Elisha, and Ezra. I think it's Elijah. The one who never actually died. He was brought up to heaven still alive. I can't remember which one his name is, but I was thinking of reading his book. I thought that would be interesting because I'm curious. As the only dude who never died. He did one better than Jesus. He didn't even have to die to go up to heaven and be resurrected before he went up to heaven. He just went straight to heaven. So I'd be interested to see what he had to say. Okay, thank you. Dom888, your new name. Good to meet ya. Lord God Almighty is coming soon. Repent, ask Christ to be in your heart, be born again. The whispers, emptiness in the soul, fear of death gone, true love, joy, peace, and eternal life are found. That's King James Version, John 3, 3 through 7, and 3:16 through 21. Who are you talking about in jail? Oh, sorry, Alan. I was responding to Doom's question. Yeah, or statement. Aaron Imholtz. He is the well, Alan, you and I we met in LawTube, right? So you know all the weird crap going on with Nick Rekieta. Um, Aaron Imholtz is the dude in the other couple that Nick Rekieta was in a couple with. So there was Aaron and April as one couple, and there was Nick and Lady Rackets were another couple, and they decided to become a throuple or something, whatever you call it. And it all fell apart. And Aaron Imholt left the group. And then shortly after that is when Nick and Lady Rackets and April all got arrested. And it all blew up and all that stuff. Well, so apparently at one point, Lady Rackets accused Aaron of revenge porn, and that went to court. And yesterday, Aaron was supposed to go in, and it was supposed to just be done, from my understanding. But apparently, it wasn't done. Apparently, he ended up being processed, whether on purpose or by accident. He was out last night, and now the Dabbleverse or the sector or whatever is kind of freaking out about it. So I have no idea. I really don't know at all. All I know is what Johnny knows, and all Johnny knows is that Aaron was out and was streaming this morning. So you'll probably get more information if you go to Aaron, because neither Johnny nor I really know a whole heck of a lot. I've only spoken to Aaron once, and that was on stream. So Bishop, good to see you. The Jews had the cops kill God for them. Nothing's changed. Israel has U.S. police swat Americans to death every hour of every day. It's it's interesting though. I like that more and more people are um seeing the truth about the relationship between Israel and America. It's kind of cool. It's it's nice to see the awakening. That being said, we can't blame the Jews. I keep coming back to that. We can't say it's the Jews, because it's not all Jews. It really isn't, most of them. It's like saying blame the Muslims. Well, it's not all Muslims. It's not even most of them. There are factions or sects within different groups, communities, religions, that do not necessarily agree on anything but the main points. It is the world banking cartel. I'm not even certain if I can say it's Zionists or Ashkenazi Jews, or like, I don't. It's the people who are in charge. But at the end of the day, that's how the whole world works now. It's not the Jews versus the Chinese versus the Norwegian versus the French. It's not about the black versus the white versus the purple. It's not about any of that. It's the rich versus the poor. And once we all start realizing that, we can stop being manipulated by mass media. And we can start to realize just what the truth is. It's the rich who are controlling the poor. Unfortunately for them, we poor are many and the rich are few. And the way our governments were set up, the government is supposed to work for us, the people, not the other way around. So we just need to get enough folks woken up that we can start to turn it around. That being said, I do believe in God. um, I don't know that we're going to be able to turn it around. I think we're kind of past the point of no return. I think the globalist New World Order agenda is going to come to fruition. I don't think there's any way for us to stop that at this point. We can just protect ourselves with knowledge. Um, yeah, and that's the best we can do. We got to stop blaming someone because of their religion or their skin color, or we have to start holding those people who are in charge accountable. Um, yes, God is good. Amen. Amen, brother. Amen. Hello, T3. Just a quick run through before you go to the store. Good to see you. And Alan saying, wow, things that happen in this life. I know, right? I know. The whole Nick thing is ridiculous. It's insane. I stopped watching Nick. Honestly, the last live stream of Nick's that I watched was the one with him and Lady Rackets when they were in Jamaica and they did the Valentine's Day stream together. And that was the last one I watched. I got a feeling off of him. I didn't know what it was, but I knew I didn't want to be around it. From this perspective, all this time later, I'm assuming that I could tell he was using, and I didn't want to be around it because I'm an ex-user. So I can kind of pick up the vibes from time to time, right? So I'm figuring that's what it was that made me stop watching him. And when the news came out that he had been arrested, it was wild. It was crazy. But even wilder and crazier, as all that is, if Nick hadn't done that, if all of that hadn't gone down, I wouldn't have been introduced to Johnny, who is Aaron's co-host on Aaron's show. And Johnny and I have been seeing each other for I don't know, 3-4 months now. So we kind of started chatting ages ago. We were chatting before Vice's passed, actually. He had a health scare that ended up in a hospital, and we were kind of chatting during that. And then shortly after he got out, Vice's passed. And so we were chatting through that. And yeah, weird things happen. So we've actually been, kind of seeing each other for 4 months, 3-4 months now. It's really good and exciting and awesome, and I love every minute of it. And none of that would have happened if Nick hadn't been the degenerate that Nick is. So, thanks, I guess. That's one thing Nick was really good at. He's a really great matchmaker. I know another couple. I won't name them, but I know another couple that met in his chats. They're now happily married, doing great. And I remember hearing Nick say at one point he and Lady Rackets were going to a wedding of a couple of members of his chat who had met in his chat. And so they invited Nick and the wife to the wedding. And now, now there's Johnny, and I never would have met the guy, never would have been anywhere near the area of the internet that he's in. It's just not that it's a weird part of the internet or anything. I really love it there. Having a lot of fun over there. But we would never have met otherwise. So Nick's matchmaking services strikes again in good. So there you go. Hello, AP. How you doing? And thank you, T3. She's saying, looking good, Mom. I hope you're feeling good too. I am. It's finally summertime again. The thunderstorms seem to have rolled out of the way. It's nice. It's hot. It's beautiful. I'm happy. I'm going to go spend my time. When I finish with this, I always go from my reading stream to join Johnny on his stream. And And this time I'm going to join him on the tablet so that I can join him from outside. So I'll go and catch a bit of tan while hanging out with him for the end of his stream. So that'll be really nice. I've got my garden planted. I've got my first bell peppers coming up. It's about this big. I've got strawberries. Like I said, I get about a handful of strawberries every couple days. Not tons, but more than enough for a bowl of cereal or a bowl of ice cream or just to eat them right off the thing. My beefsteak tomato plant is a giant. It's amazing. I've got broccoli and looks like pumpkins are the ones that came up. I've got zucchinis ready to pick already. Yeah, it's awesome. I got the sweet peas are coming up and the carrots. All my carrots, which were planted in nice neat rows, are all in a section about this big now. The problem with my garden is I plant the seeds, but then the raccoons come in because the dirt is loose. It's easier for them to go grubbing in there. So by the time my seeds come up, they're no longer in the nice little rows that I plant. Now they're just in a bunch. It's a bunch about like this. So I'll have to go through and thin them out, and I'll have to plant some more. But it is what it is. Gardening outdoors with the wildlife. Alan is asking, do I know John? Johnny Crutches, he is co-host on Steel Toe Morning Show. So he co-hosts with Aaron Monday and Tuesday mornings. You might be able to catch it. You're in a way different time zone than me. He starts at 4 a.m. my time. They're a central Minnesota stream. So they start at 6 a.m. Central Time. So probably more your afternoon or evening, Alan. You could probably catch it. I don't really watch it again. It starts at 4 a.m. There was a reason I wasn't catching a lot of Vices near the end because he started so early. But yeah, you could probably catch it. It's a decent show. I haven't seen anything. It's a decent show. They cover basic news things, what's going on. I tend to watch it, honestly. I only watch it Monday and Tuesdays. I wake up and I'll text Johnny good morning, and then I'll turn on the Steel Toe show so I can listen to the two of them do their thing as I get breakfast and stuff. But for you, it'd probably be an afternoon or evening thing. Right now? Okay. Yeah, so it'll probably be an afternoon. Check out Steel Toe Morning Show, Alan. See what you think. And in the meantime, like you're saying, it's 2:37 a.m. Friday for you. So you're going to go now. You sleep well, buddy. And I'll talk to you again soon. AP is saying thunderstorms are drenching my area now. Just need the temperature to stop the 30-degree swings. See, and that's what I was doing last week and the first half of this week. Although it wasn't, the temperature swung once. It went from the hot that we're used to, and then it really chilled out. It cooled off by a good 10 degrees Celsius. And then it just stayed overcast, and it couldn't decide. Oh, Alan, here, let me here, I'll write it in here. Steel Toe Morning Show, or I'm on John. He's just kidding LLC. There you go. There you go, Alan. So Steel Toe Morning Show, and then I'm on with Johnny. His channel is Just Kidding LLC. So, but yeah, you sleep well. And going back to the thunderstorms, yeah, it cooled by about 10 degrees Celsius, but then it stayed there. So I was lucky it wasn't hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. It just stayed overcast and occasionally thunderstormy, rainy. But it looks like it's gone. And I'll just double check now because I wouldn't want to jinx myself. Yeah, see, it's partly cloudy and rain is likely overnight. but then it's just going to get hotter, 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 hotter. And they say it's partly cloudy. It's not. It's not partly cloudy here. It's very definitely blue skies here. So, but yeah, I'm really hoping for the summertime, the sun to stick around for a bit. I got a little bit of a tan working in the garden the other day, so I'd like to work on that tan a bit more. I'm a very, very pale person. Had you noticed? I look a lot better, a lot healthier when I've got a bit of a tan to me. Hi, Island. How you doing? Can't hang out, but wanted to say hi. All right. Well, thanks for stopping by. That's awesome. Anyways, we should get back to this. Um, let's see here. All right. The 15th Amendment nullifies both sophisticated as well as simple minded modes of discrimination. Lane v. Wilson, 1939. It will be of little available. Oops. It will be of little avail to the people that the laws are made by men of their own choice, if the laws be so voluminous that they cannot be read, or so incoherent that they cannot be understood. James Madison, The Federalist, 62 in 1788. Sorry. And I think we're living in that now, aren't we? It'll be of little avail to the people that the laws are made by men of their own choice, if the laws be so voluminous that they cannot be read, or so incoherent that they cannot be understood. That's where we're at right now. There's so many laws and they are so very wordy. They've been slowly sanding away the edges of your rights to the point now where there's so many laws that practically everything is illegal just by default. 10 commie temp units is 50 normal temp units for the non-communadias. Thank you. So 50 degrees. It's dropped 50 degrees, but then it just stayed there. It didn't fluctuate back and forth. I know Johnny's in Minnesota and he was saying the same thing. The humidity it just keeps fluctuating. And that's what I'm dealing with is the humidity, not as much as the heat. The heat's staying, it's picking a lane and staying in it, but the humidity is just going up and down. And that's what bothers me. When freedom does not have a purpose, when it does not wish to know anything about the rule of law engraved in the hearts of men and women, when it does not listen to the voice of conscience, it turns against humanity and society. That's Pope John Paul II in his remarks to Dutch Catholics on May 12, 1985. Madison, great man, father of the Second Amendment. Wish we kept his original wording and not the vague wording people don't understand correctly now, which is exactly what the point he was making. If the laws be so voluminous they cannot be read, or so incoherent they cannot be understood, that's exactly what he warned against, and that's exactly what we're doing now. And it sounds like that's exactly what they did to his own work. They changed his wording so that it's more vague and unsure. John Hinderaker of Powerline blog on June 26, 2015, wrote about gay marriage and Obamacare SCOTUS rulings. 224 years after the Constitution was ratified, Anthony Kennedy and 4 loyal Democrats have discovered, hidden somewhere in its provisions, a right to gay marriage. This so-called right, deemed fundamental by the 5-justice majority, was undreamed of until a few years ago. If you want to read the decision, it is here. Yesterday's Obamacare decision told us that we do not live under the rule of law. Today's gay marriage decision tells us we do not live in a democracy. These are dark days. They would never have ratified his original Second Amendment. Perhaps. Today, they never would have, that's for sure. Yeah, they sure wouldn't today. Justice must be rooted in confidence, and confidence is destroyed when right-minded people go away thinking the judge was biased. This is Lord Denning, the Master of the Rolls, Metropolitan Properties Co. Limited versus Lannon in 1968. You would not be reading a Gosney book if I did not include a bit of heavy metal wisdom, right? How about these two self-reinforcing quotes? Just because you got the power, that don't mean you got the right. That's Lemmy Kilmister of Motorhead, or Kilmister of Motorhead, 1987. And if there's a new way, I'll be the first in line. It better work this time. That's Dave Mustaine of Megadeth from Peace Sells, but Who's Buying, 1986. AP is saying it was a decision for taxes and nothing more. The gay marriage decision. That's what I figured. As far as the gay marriage decision came to, it was completely. It was all about taxes and you don't pronounce the e. Okay, so it's Meister. Okay, Kilmister. Kilmeister? Hello, Meester. I want to buy your sister. Is that right? Meester? I know I said Mustaine right, but that's because I know Dave Mustaine. I know the group Motorhead. I know some of their songs. I wouldn't have been able to tell you who was in the band. So I do apologize for killing his last name. But yeah, the gay marriage decision was all about taxes. It was it has nothing to do with actual biblical marriage. So that's why I never understood why anyone had a problem with it. It had nothing to do with God. It was strictly a tax thing. What they do in their own beds is up to them, and they can discuss it with their God. And if their God thinks it's fine, then that's their God, and they're, as far as I could see, the gay marriage decision was, yeah, it was always a tax thing. They just wanted to have the same, well, not just taxes. They wanted to have the same legal rights as heterosexual marriages, and I think that's fair. I never had a problem with that. The gay marriage thing, yeah, it was a big nothing burger. At the end of the day, it was a big nothing burger. They just wanted the same rights as heterosexual couples, marital rights. So, if one of them ends up sick and dying in a hospital bed, their gay partner can be with them and make those choices for them, as opposed to a lot of people were not able to be with their significant other at their end days because the parents of the sick person were anti-gay, right? So they would keep the other person away, and that's those sort of things, as well as the tax matters. That's really what the gay marriage thing was all about. So I never understood why there was an issue with it. The only issue with gay marriage is a biblical issue, and that's between them and God. So, okay, it's a German word, Melster or Meester. The I is like saying I want. Okay. I want. Okay. Interesting. Oh, hello, Desert Love. How you doing? Lemmy was born just up the road. Oh, that's cool. Are you anywhere near Sheffield? Like, don't dox yourself, of course, but I can't remember. Are you in that area of the country? I can't remember where to put you, or if you were closer to like London. they should. Government should have nothing to do with marriage and shouldn't now. Well, they shouldn't have anything to do with marriage, period. But then they started because of the other laws and rights and whatnot. Things. Yeah, I don't know. I agree. Government should never have had anything to do with marriage. It's kind of too late now. Like it's too late to remove them from it at this point, unless we remove the government completely and we, start over, which we're not at. So as it stands in this day and age, it's kind of stuck. And again, there are so many rights and privileges and tax issues that have been tied into marriage before the gay marriage issue even came to be. I don't think it's possible to pull them apart right now. No, you're in the middle, right in the middle of the Midlands. Okay, in the middle of the Midlands. Okay, I couldn't quite remember. AP is saying in German words, you pronounce the second vowel when an EI or an IE is next to each other. Okay, so you'd forget, like, so I would drop the E and just pronounce the I and kill Meester. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, German is definitely a different language than like I've got English, I've got French, and because of those two, I can roughly understand the other Romantic languages, roughly enough that I would be able to get my point across and understand the response. But German is a totally different language. I've never had much chance to play with it. I'm still pronouncing the E. It's a long I. Oh, so it's Mr. It's not Meester, it's Mr. Okay. Okay. I'm trying to lock it into my head. English is Germanic, but it's so much more guttural. It's not it's not one of the Romantic languages at all. Oh, where all the pottery used to come from. I gotcha. Okay. Meister. Okay. So it's not Meester. It's not Mister. It's Meister. Meister. Okay. Isn't it? I thought English was considered one of the Romance languages. Okay, maybe maybe. Of course, my brain is a little bit kerfuffulated, so I've probably just mixed it all up in my head then. I could have sworn English was one of the Romance languages, along with like Italian, French, oh shit. The only word that's coming to me is Filipino, but I know Filipino is not the right word. Portuguese. Hello. It is Germanic. Okay. Well, then that's just me my brain messing with me again. Hello, Buck. How you doing? Okay. Yeah, it's just my brain mixing everything up again. No, you're probably right. AP knows a lot more about German than I do for sure. No, it comes from Umbrian and German. Old English is as close to Norse as you can get. Okay. Interesting. It's been a very, very long time since I studied the etymology of the different languages. Try Frisian. Now, is that Frisian? Are you like Venetian? Oh, I've got so many windows open. I can't go clicky clicky. Hi, sweet girl. From the Netherlands. Okay. Frisian is from the Netherlands. Okay. And AP is being a smartass. Well, Dazzler was being a smartass too. Dazzer was asking how AP how he would pronounce Shakespeare then. But AP comes back as a smartass and says a playwright. And Frisian is a language. Okay. From the Netherlands. Okay. I've heard the term Frisian before, Frisian, but I didn't know where it was from. So from the Netherlands. That's Helen. That's Helen's area, I believe. All right. Let's get back to her. So we did the two heavy metal wisdom quotes. Just because you got the power, that don't mean you got the right. Lemmy Kilmister, haha, of Motorhead, 1987. If there's a new way, I'll be the first in line. Better work this time. Dave Mustaine of Megadeth from Peace Sells, but who's buying? 1986. Then Steve says, or myself. The defense attorney's job is to stand up when everyone else in the world is telling him to sit down. Steve Gosney on Joe Neerman's Good Logic live stream, June 10th, 2024. Okay, since we are on music, if you will indulge me, do you have a choice? It is my book. Fair point, Steve. Fair point. One of my favorite lyrics of all time is Triumph's Fight the Good Fight. The song is also great. Here it is in full. The days grow shorter and the nights are getting long. Feels like we're running out of time. Every day it seems much harder telling right from wrong. You got to read between the lines. Don't get discouraged and don't be afraid. We can make it through another day. Make it worth the price we pay. The good book says it's better to give than to receive. I do my best to do my part. Nothing in my pockets. I got nothing up my sleeve. I keep my magic in my heart. Keep up your spirit. Keep up your faith, baby. I am counting on you. You know what you've got to do. Fight the good fight every moment, every minute, every day. Fight the good fight every moment. It's your only way. All your life, you've been waiting for your chance where you'll fit into the plan. But you're the master of your own destiny, so give and take the best you can. You think a little more money will buy your soul some rest. You'd better think of something else instead. You're so afraid of being honest with yourself. You'd better take a look inside your head. Nothing is easy. Nothing good is free. But I can tell you where to start. Take a look inside your heart. There's an answer in your heart. Fight the good fight every moment, every minute, every day. Fight the good fight every moment. Make it worth the price we pay. Every moment of your lifetime, every minute, every day. Fight the good fight every moment. Make it worth the price we pay. My class song, Seabreeze Senior High School, class of 1985, was Triumph's Magic Power off the same album. I lobbied for Fight the Good Fight, but was overruled. Hey, a little compromise is not bad. The class song could have been much worse. Can anyone say Madonna? Now back to our regular programming. Fair enough. My class song was, oldie but a goodie and used by more classes than any other song ever. School's out. Romeo and Juliet, was that not a romance? Because that's how Dire Straits wrote it. The whole point of Romeo and Juliet is this: kids are dumb. My 12th grade English teacher. Right? The end of the day. As Solicitor General, I made 3 arguments in every case. First came the one I had planned, as I thought, logical, coherent, and complete. Second was the one actually presented, interrupted, incoherent, disjointed, and disappointing. The third was the utterly devastating argument that I thought of after going to bed that night. Justice Robert H. Jackson. Isn't that's totally right. You're getting into a discussion or a debate, and come with the one you have planned. Then you've got the one that you're actually presenting, the one that you're actually leaning towards, which comes out a little more interrupted, incoherent, disjointed. And then always, 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 you come up with the perfect comeback just as you're falling asleep at night. It's not there when you need it. It's there hours later when it's of no use to anyone except in disappointing your own self. There are 5 defenses every criminal defendant has. 1, the event that gave rise to the prosecution did not happen. 2, the event that gave rise to the prosecution happened, but it was not a crime. 3, the event that gave rise to the prosecution happened, and it was a crime, but somebody else did it. 4, the event that gave rise to the prosecution happened, and it would be a crime, but there is a recognized affirmative defense to it. Or 5, the state can't prove it. Got to be quicker on the draw with the comebacks. Yeah, no, it doesn't work that way with my brain. They always come to me at the end of the night when I can listen to it and go, oh, that's great. Damn it. Why didn't I come up with that back then? Hello, Danielle. How you doing, little D? I never get tired of this book. I have every copy of it that he's released. Aw, I'm really enjoying it. Dazzer saying English can be romantic when you shout to a woman, come to get your laughing gear around this. When you shout to a woman, come get your laughing gear round this, see romantic. I'm confused, Dazzer. English can be romantic. I agree. Yeah, well, no, that's not romance. That's more. Never mind. If there's no witnesses, what's it really a crime? Well, there you go, AP. It's like, did the bear shit in the woods? Or, can you hear a bear? Or whatever that one was. The point is, if no one sees it or hears it, and if it wasn't recorded for someone to see or hear later, did it really happen? I don't think so. Gosney is my mentor and my mosh pit buddy. Oh, did you get to go to a mosh pit with Gosney? That would be awesome. My days in the mosh pit are over. I had them and they were loads of fun. But yeah, I don't think I could. My body just won't stand up to a mosh pit anymore. You can't use different words for a mouth with Digger. Okay. Can be romantic. Shout to a one. Okay, I see now. You're telling her to come for a kiss. No, a mush pit. Cornmeal mush. I could probably make it in a mush pit. Probably. It's the mosh pit that my body won't handle anymore. That's really cool. You guys got to go to a metal show together, Danielle. That'd be awesome. Hi, Brian. How you doing? You're not going to stay long because you can't afford an emergency. Good. Because I am not the excuse anymore. If there's an emergency, it's because you listened to my show. It's not because I was reading. Anyways. Sometimes truisms and quotations conflict in their advice. For example, the faintest ink is better than the brightest memory. Or is it, if you can't trust a man, you can't trust his pen? Both seem true. That's true. I've never heard either of those, honestly. The true danger is when liberty is nibbled away for expedience. Edmund Burke in a letter to the sheriffs of Bristol, 1777. That is 100% correct. Little D. Yeah, you don't see her? You're both in YouTube's. She's there. That's how you ask for a blowjob with cops around. Ah, I see. Shout to a woman to come get your laughing gear around this. I guess so. I don't know if that's romantic, but it's funny enough to probably work. At least on me. Oh, geez. When bad men combine, the good must associate, else they will fall one by one, an unpitied sacrifice in a contemptible struggle. Edmund Burke, Thoughts on the Cause of the Present Discontents, 1770. Robert Bolt wrote A Man for All Seasons, a 1954 play about St. Thomas More. In the play, More states, what would you do? Cut a great road through the law to get after the devil? And when the last law was down and the devil turned round on you, where would you hide, Roper? The laws all being flat. This country is planted thick with laws from coast to coast, man's laws, not God's. And if you cut them down, and you're just the man to do it, do you really think you could stand upright in the winds that would blow then? Yes, I give the devil benefit of law for my own safety's sake. That makes sense. All right, now we're on to the quotes from politics, or on politics. Politics is the art of looking for trouble, finding it everywhere, diagnosing it incorrectly, and applying all the wrong remedies. Groucho Marx. It's not wrong. Interesting to see how great ideas get reused. Does it really matter who says the wisdom? For example, Ronald Reagan is known for saying, there is no limit to the amount of good you can do if you don't care who gets the credit. There is a certain irony in crediting this quote to Reagan, as Harry S. Truman is known to say, it is amazing what you can accomplish if you do not care who gets the credit. But then again, it appears that this is derived from a Jesuit priest. The way to get things done is not to mind who gets the credit. A quote attributed to Benjamin Jowett, 1817 to 1893. Of course, I may be wrong. Better to remain silent and be thought of as a fool than to speak and to remove all doubt. Variously attributed to Abraham Lincoln, Albert Hubbard, Mark Twain, Benjamin Franklin, and Socrates. The root of this quote is biblical. Even fools keeping silent are considered wise if they keep their lips closed, intelligent. Proverbs 17:28. It is important to source our information. 73.6% of all statistics are made up. Plato, 427 to 347 BC. Any group whose past has not provided them with as many heroes, cultural contributions, or other glories as some other groups past now has a grievance against those who write history. Apparently, a past to your liking has become an entitlement. Thomas Sowell in Is Reality Optional and Other Essays, 1993. Speaking of Sowell, Mark Helprin observes that the ability to see things as they really are engenders hostility from countless factions in thrall to countless illusions. In praise of Thomas Sowell, 2017. Socrates, great mind, most famously known to say, I ate what? If all mankind minus one were of one opinion, and only one person were of the contrary opinion, mankind would be no more justified in silencing that one person than he, if he had the power, would be justified in silencing mankind. The peculiar evil of silencing the expression of an opinion is that it is robbing the human race. Posterity, as well as the existing generation, those who dissent from the opinion, still more than those who hold it. If the opinion is right, they are deprived of the opportunity of exchanging error for truth. If it is wrong, they lose. What is almost as great a benefit, the clearer perception and livelier impression of truth produced by its collision with error. John Stuart Mill on Liberty, 1859. Here's a nice joke to keep us grounded. Question: what is the difference between the constitutions of the USA and USSR? Both guarantee freedom of speech. Answer: yes, but the Constitution of the USA also guarantees freedom after the speech. Modern liberalism has no limit in principle to its aspirations to extend political solutions for all social problems. Stephen F. Hayward, even Dr. Hayward, does not know exactly when he said it. Well, at least he knows he said it. Any government that robs Peter to pay Paul can always count on Paul's support. English Fabian socialist George Bernard Shaw. Usually attributed to Robert Conquest is his 3 laws of politics. 1, everyone is conservative about what he knows best. 2, any organization not explicitly and constitutionally right wing will sooner or later become left wing. And 3, the behavior of any bureaucratic organization can best be understood by assuming that it is controlled by a secret cabal of its enemies. John Derbyshire of the National Review said about the second law that Conquest gave the Church of England and Amnesty International as examples. I have also found a similar, if not identical, ideal from John O'Sullivan. All organizations that are not actually right-wing will over time become left-wing. John O'Sullivan, CBE. Of the third law, Derbyshire noted in 2003 that a bureaucracy sometimes actually is controlled by a secret cabal of its enemies, using as an example the post-war British Secret Service. Hello, Late Night Ramblings. How you doing? Brandolini's law, or bullshit asymmetry principle. The amount of energy needed to refute bullshit is an order of magnitude bigger than to produce it. Italian computer programmer Alberto Brandolini, 2013. I like that. The amount of energy needed to refute bullshit is an order of magnitude bigger than to produce it. History is philosophy teaching by example. Attributed to Thucydides. I can't hear it in my head, so I don't know how to pronounce it. I've heard it. Damn it. Thucydides. I think that's it. Late Night Ramblings, hanging in there. Hope you're doing well. I am. Thank you. I'm glad you're hanging in there. One day at a time. We'll make it. Speaking of history as a source of knowledge, Dr. John Joseph Ray noted in 2013 that the entire discipline of political psychology is discredited insofar as it is based on survey research, which it mostly is. Yeah. Surveys can be rigged to tell you whatever they want them to tell you. It's not that hard. One of the first things Trudeau Jr. did when he first became prime minister, we'd been arguing for years and years that we needed to change the way our elections were counted, were processed. One of the first things Trudeau did was send out a survey to everyone in Canada to fill out, giving us the 2 election options, or the types of election options. But the way it was written out, was so vague that it didn't matter which way Canadians voted, he would be able to have it was written vague enough that he would be able to take control and do whatever he wanted with it, which is how he ended up later on staying prime minister with the minority government, even though he himself only got 30% of the entire vote. It's because of the way our elections are set up and run and counted. It's not good. We finally got the election reform question, or we were finally allowed to question it. But then the options were so vague that he ended up with more power no matter what we did. Never was a government that was not composed of liars, malefactors, and thieves. Marcus Tullius Cicero. Yeah. Well, you've got to be dirty to get that far. You've got to be able and willing to compromise in order to get as far as say, a Nancy Pelosi or even a Trump. Trump's just as dirty as the rest of them. You guys are starting to see it. It's starting to come out now. I don't know if it makes any difference, but yeah, he's just as dirty as the rest of them. His paymasters have always been the World Bank cartel. I had hopes for a brief moment in time, but I was proven wrong or proven right. My hopes were dashed, and I was proven right. History is our only source of reasonable inferences about human political motivation. Freedom, however, is not the last word. Freedom is only part of the story and half of the truth. Freedom is but the negative aspect of the whole phenomenon, whose positive aspect is responsibleness. In fact, freedom is in danger of degenerating into mere arbitrariness unless it is lived in terms of responsibleness. Viktor Frankl, Man's Searching for Meaning, 1946. Depressions and mass unemployment are not caused by the free market, but by government interference in the economy. Ludwig von Mises. It is hard to imagine a more stupid or more dangerous way of making decisions than by putting those decisions in the hands of people who pay no price for being wrong. Thomas Sowell in his essay, Wake Up Parents, published in Jewish World Review 2000. The first lesson of economics is scarcity. There is never enough of anything to satisfy all those who want it. The first lesson of politics is to disregard the first lesson of economics. Thomas Sowell, Is Reality Optional? And Other Essays, 1993. As Monty Python taught us, an argument isn't just contradiction, but a connected series of statements intended to establish a proposition. That's a Python argument clinic from Monty Python's Flying Circus, Season 3, 1972. I like that. Those were, I did. I liked those argument clinics and whatnot from Monty Python. An argument isn't just contradiction, but a connected series of statements intended to establish a proposition. The law of merited impossibility is an epistemological construct governing the paradoxical way overclass opinion makers frame the discourse about the clash between religious liberty and gay civil rights. It is best summed up by the phrase, "It's a complete absurdity to believe that Christians will suffer a single thing from the expansion of gay rights, and boy, do they deserve what they're going to get." Rod Dreher in The American Conservative, 2013. Complete absurdity to believe that Christians will suffer a single thing from the expansion of gay rights. And boy, do they deserve what they're going to get. Okay, I see. It is often asserted that the world has made a great deal of progress since 1776, that we have had new thoughts and new experiences, which has given us a great advance over the people of that day, and that we may therefore very well discard their conclusions for something more modern. But that reasoning cannot be applied to this great charter. If all men are created equal, that is final. If they are endowed with inalienable rights, that is final. If governments derive their just powers from the consent of the governed, that is final. No advance, no progress can be made beyond these propositions. If anyone wishes to deny their truth or their soundness, the only direction in which he can proceed historically is not forward, but backward, toward the time when there is no equality, no rights of the individual, no rule of the people. Those who wish to proceed in that direction cannot lay claim to progress. They are reactionary. Their ideas are not more modern, but more ancient than those of the Revolutionary Fathers. That was President Calvin Coolidge in a speech commemorating the 150th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, 1926. Hello, Johnny. How you doing? We're just going through the quotes right now. We finished the political quotes. We are heading into the quotes on faith. So here you go. To one who has faith, no explanation is necessary. To one without faith, no explanation is possible. Attributed to St. Thomas Aquinas. God looked at everything he had made and found it very good. Genesis 1, verse 31. Liberty cannot be established without morality, nor morality without faith. And later in the same work, despotism may govern without faith, but liberty cannot. Alexis de Tocqueville, Democracy in America, 1831. Hello, Kaiser. How you doing? Oof, sorry I'm late. Been dealing with IT issues at work. Ooh, yeah, no, IT issues not fun. At least you've got at work, so you've got IT people that can help you, eh? I've got just me. Hey, Rusty, how you doing? I Because we have no government armed with power, capable of contending with human passions, unbridled by morality and religion. Avarice, ambition, revenge, and licentiousness would break the strongest cords of our Constitution as a whale goes through a net. Our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other. John Adams, Letter to Officers of the Mass Militia, 1798. That's the truth. Hello, St. Aaron. How you doing? Hello. But that is definitely the truth, eh? Our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It was based off the was the Constitution or the Bill of Rights? It was Bill of Rights was based off of the Ten Commandments. The first four commandments were taken up with the right to choose your own God and to worship as you please, freely as you please. And then the last six are what make up the rest of the Bill of Rights. And it's pretty simple, fairly common sense things, but it only works in a moral and religious people, in a moral and religious nation. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other. And unfortunately, we have wholesaled. I say we, I'm a Canuck, not an American, but we've done the same. We've just done it quicker and better than the Americans. We're importing wholesale huge swaths of people who do not believe or who do not agree with the rights as afforded to us in the Ten Commandments. They don't agree with it. And if they don't agree and believe, they're not going to follow the law. And if they're not going to follow the law, then the law breaks down. And that's where we are at right now. The law is breaking down. If our nations were moral and religious groups once again, um, then it would be a totally different story what we're looking at. Their overseas IT support, so. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Oh wait, Johnny died. I have forgot. My apologies. Oh, did Johnny die? Oh, I was unaware. I guess maybe I'll reach out and give my condolences. Not an American yet, says AB. Not an American yet. Join us. One of us. One of us. We'll see. Things are getting crazy out here. It's not just Carney saying Canada is the most European Union country that is not in the European Union. Now he's got I think it's a president of Sweden. He's got leaders of various EU countries all saying the same thing, that Canada is a very EU country. They want us to join the EU, which is the silliest thing in the world and the dumbest thing in the world. But they're pushing it. They're really pushing it. I thought he was just, being a smartass, but Carney was being serious, and other people are taking him seriously as well. And I think, honestly, if he really does push for Canada becoming a member of the EU, I think that's the quickest way to force whoever's in charge of the US into trying to take over us. I mean, I would. I wouldn't want our next door neighbor to suddenly become a part of a group that has absolutely nothing in line with my nation and its belief system. Yeah, there's a reason. There's a reason Britain escaped from the EU. It cost a lot. It hurt a lot, but they got away from it. And it would be just the most ridiculous thing in the world for us to become a part of it. It doesn't make any sense. St. Aaron saying, founding fathers argued against adding the Bill of Rights because they felt it was common sense. But Madison argued that it has to be included so as not to be misconstrued. There you go. And that's exactly it. They didn't think they needed it because it was common sense. But the thing is, common sense isn't common anymore. And if they hadn't actually added it in, America would have been hooped ages ago. Ages ago. Chennai, Indian IT support. Yeah. Thank you, Danielle. She's saying she loves my laugh. Ew, it's the EU. Right? Don't do it. Tell the EU to fade away. I know, Dasser. You guys, we watched. Well, hell, Mark Carney, who is now our prime minister, was the one who ran your banks to get you while you were extricating yourselves from the EU. He really did a number. And the fact that he went through all of Brexit and experienced all of that, and now he wants to put us into it, is just ridiculous. You can see exactly where his where he stands and who he stands with, and it sure as hell is not the Canucks. When I first started understanding what the EU was like, I was like, did you all learn nothing from the League of Nations in World War I, World War II, and the Cold War? Yeah, I know. It was the big thing for that, though. They wanted the open borders. They wanted to be able to have a mass influx of people with no checks and balances, and that's what they got. And I mean, we've basically got that now already. We don't need to become a part of the EU. There are so few checks and balances. We're literally looking and trying to figure out which way would be better for us living in America or Canada, because at least here we've got our medicals covered. We've got socialist medical, so at least when he has to run to the hospital for emergencies, he's not getting stuck with a bill, and that's huge. That is huge. Not not having to worry when suddenly my pupils are different sizes and I'm being told to go to the emergency because it could be the signs of something really, really bad. Um, I went. I went and I didn't really second guess it uh, at all. I was told it's dangerous and it could be bad. I was told that I had to go and get looked at, and so I went. I went to the ER. I spent 8 hours at the hospital. They had to do MRIs twice because they only did parts of my head. They wanted to get my neck, so they had to do more tests. Um, and all of that. They did a lot of stuff to me in that 8 hours. And if I had had to go through all of that, knowing that when I got home, there would be a massive bill waiting for me, I probably wouldn't have gone. I just wouldn't have gone, and I would have just left it. And if it had have been something seriously dangerous, it would have been fatal because I just wouldn't have gone because I can't afford it. I'm on disability. I don't have money. How the hell am I supposed to pay medical bills? And I can't imagine what you guys go through like that. AP, when you get sick, you take a turn and you've got to go to hospital. Not only are you sick, not only are you having to deal with all of that, um, also weighing on you is the knowledge that there is yet another ginormous bill being tabulated that will be sent to you at some point in the future, and you're going to have to figure out how to pay it. Like, how do you with an like a long-term illness like MS, for example, you're going to have to go to the doctor regularly. You're going to have spells. You're going to end up in the hospital. Um, how on earth do you deal with trying to live day to day with that? Um, and then add on top of that the weight and the stress of the bills, the money. How am I going to pay for it? I can't even afford a treatment or I can't fathom that. I don't understand. And I guess that's because I'm so lucky um to be here, in Canada. And so that's some of the things we got to look at. America's great, don't get me wrong. America is wonderful. But there are good things to Canada too, not least of which the land itself. The country is phenomenally gorgeous. And I live in the best part of it. Um, but yeah, things like that. He's got a serious permanent medical condition. It might be smarter to have him come to Canada where at least that stress is removed. At least he knows when he is sick, he can go and get treatment and not have to worry about how am I going to pay for it, you know? So there's lots of things to debate and to go through. There's a lot. There's an awful lot. But the first rung on that ladder has been achieved. I officially have a passport, so I can cross the border. So we've done that much. Now we need to get money. We need to get him moved into a wheelchair accessible home. Living in the basement is no good for him. It's just not. He can't get himself out when he's having a good day. Um, when he's having a bad day, he can't. And that's not healthy. It's not good. So we need to get him into a wheelchair accessible home. After that, we'll figure out, who's going where. More likely than not, I will end up going to America for at first, anyways, just because he's got a little girl, right? He's got a daughter. I've got no one. It's a heck of a lot easier for me to go than for him to leave his little girl. So yeah, probably I'll end up being an American. I'm kind of hoping that Alberta separates and it'll become its own thing, and we can maybe both become Albertans and not have to worry about Canada or the States. We'll just be Albertans. Well, you did, Dazzer. Dazzer's saying, well, they say we got away, but did we get away from the EU? You did. You did get away from EU, but it cost an awful lot. You'll be paying for getting away from it for years and years and years to come. But you did get out of it. You're not connected to it anymore. And you've got that much at least going for you. I mean, when most European countries are smaller than most US states, I get the borders thing, kind of. But you need solid borders and immigration policy. And that's the thing that with the EU is they got rid of all of that and you can just travel anywhere you want in the EU and you don't need to worry. Um, and that's not that, even though the European countries are smaller than most of the states, um, there's still different countries with very, very different belief systems, legal systems, and you can't just let people flood in um, with no checks and balances. St. Terenz saying, if you watch the movie Omega Code 2, they show a map for a one world government by the Antichrist. Look at the map in the movie and a real life EU, two similar boundaries. Oh, interesting. Spot on. Interesting. Omega Code 2. Okay. I'm running out of space. I need to make another order so I can get a new box to write on. Code 2 movie. All right. Got a whole raft of movies that I got to get on top of. Yeah, it's scary how well Hollywood or celebrity. I mean, it's the EU, so it's not Hollywood, but you know what I mean. It's interesting how spot on they can be with these things, eh? Oh, good, Danielle. I'm glad. I'm glad you're getting your treatments and you're starting to feel better. That's really good. I completely forgot to ask. I'm sorry. I'm an ass. I completely forgot to ask. But I'm glad to hear you're doing better. Step by step. AP says I have health insurance. But not everything's covered with health insurance. And that seems to be a lot of what he's running into, for just as an example. I mean, we have health insurance here too. Because it's not free. It's free if you're on the poor end of the scale. But depending on how much you earn in income, you'll have to pay X amount into the medical system. So it's not completely free, but if you're broke ass, you don't have to just sit at home and be sick because you can't afford to pay for the treatment. Yeah, I know, Dowser. What happened with that? At one point, we may as well have run the rest of the world. We had invaded over 171 countries. Yeah, what happened with that? You were the sun never set. It's not quite that way anymore. I wonder what happened. Is it maybe that people in different areas have different belief systems and do not necessarily want to change those ways? And maybe they were kind of upset when they were being forced to change those ways. I know India, as an example, was not particularly happy, and they had to make that point known. But yeah, at the end of the day, there's a reason that countries are looked at as separate countries, because we all have different belief systems. We have different ways of doing things, and we're not necessarily gonna get along. And not every country or people want to compromise. That was the problem here in Canada. We used to brag that we're not the melting pot, we're multicultural, because we can take in all these people from different cultures and different areas of the world, and we can all become happier, better oneness because of different cultures. And that was great for a time, but at some point people stopped assimilating. People came in with their cultures, but they didn't leave the bad stuff back in the old country, and they didn't assimilate and start obeying the rules as we have them here in Canada. And suddenly we started having, Chinatowns and little Indias and these sort of things popping up. And we have miniature nations within our nation. And many of these miniature nations do not appreciate other miniature nations within our nation. And so then the fighting and their wars and their gang violence and everything is brought over here. And that's where Canada is at now. People stopped assimilating. People forgot about leaving the bad stuff behind in the old country. They forgot about that, and they just came in, brought their old wars, their old fights, their old arguments with them. And there are so many people in Canada who cannot speak English or French. You know, they shouldn't be able to function in society because they cannot speak either of the languages in the country, and yet they're able to do stuff like get driver's licenses and you know, all sorts of things that you would think common sense would lead you to believe that they can't do it. If they can't read and write English or French, then how can they read and answer the questions on the test to get the driver's license? I mean, common sense would say they can't, but somehow they can, and they do, because there's a whole bunch of people with driver's licenses on Canadian roads these days, not just driver's licenses, but driving big rigs, driving school buses, driving the e-bus, which is what replaced the Greyhound when Greyhound left Canada. But we've got all sorts of people driving these ginormous vehicles, passenger vehicles, but they have no idea what they're doing. And it shows because there's constant car accidents and wrecks and shorts on YouTubes and Twitter and stuff showing them doing ridiculous things. Like one dude driving an e-bus, he was pulling onto a massive busy freeway, and he's sitting here with the bus. He's actually signaling, which is nice because that never happens, the signal, but he's signaling, but he's got one hand on the wheel of this ginormous bus and his other hand has his cell phone, and he's repeatedly taking his eyes off the road where he's trying to merge and onto the camera or onto the phone where he's playing a game, and he'll take his hand off the wheel and play the game and then kind of glimpse back and and he's merging onto a freeway with tons of fast moving vehicles, and he's more interested in playing his stupid game than he is on driving the bus with all the people on it. It's insane. There's got to be assimilation, and there's got to be, I don't know how. We used to be able to do it. I don't know how, and I don't know if we can ever get back to that point, but there has to be a way to get people when they move to our country to realize, understand, and accept that old grudges, old arguments, old wars stay in the old land. You can't bring them over here. Now we've got the attritions. The attrition gangs are killing the non-attritions, both of whom have come to Canada for a better life. But now they're here and they're still fighting each other here. Like, you're here, you're Canadians now. You shouldn't be fighting each other over shit that was happening in your countries. You left your countries because you didn't like what was happening. So why are you coming and bringing it here? Right? It makes no sense. And I wish there was some way we could enforce it again. But that, I think we're long past that point. AP, I'm just on the hook for a copay that I make payments to. If I lose my health insurance, I just switch to an SSI and don't have to pay. Okay. And from what I understand, it's different from state to state. Just like it's different from province to province here. That's another thing we're looking at, is just maybe a change of state would help a bit. Kaiser's saying, oh yeah, health insurance. Yay. It's a pain in the ass, but it's better than nothing. Yeah, it's better than nothing. And he says this as someone who works in the insurance business. Thankfully, not the health insurance business, but in insurance business. AP is saying, I'm just working towards not being on any medication. That way I don't have medical bills anymore. Yeah, that's a big thing. And that actually helped him quite a bit. He took himself off a lot of the medications and found a lot of improvement in areas. He found some, it wasn't all good. Like, of course, there was downsides to stopping a lot of the medications he was on, but overall, he figures that the upside is better. So, I did the same thing. Back when COVID first started, that's when I realized that I was reliant upon a lot of stuff, that when the shit hits the fan, I'm not going to be able to get. And so I had better work on that. So I really minimized the amount of meds I was on. My doctor and I sat down and we changed some things, lessened amounts of other things, took some things out completely. Just so that, now when the shit hits the fan, my withdrawal from my meds is going to be a lot less severe. It'll still be very severe. And there are some that I'm going to miss because they do help so much. But at least now when the shit hits the fan, it's not going to be near as hard. It's not going to be near as bad for me. I'll be able to function through the withdrawals now, which I wouldn't have been able to do previously. I was on so many different medications and such high doses because I've been on them for so long that they just keep upping the dosage, and it was getting to be too much. And at the end of the day, after removing a lot of those medicines from my system, I found a lot of improvements, because for every one symptom that the med would treat, it would add 2 or 3 other symptoms as well. And so at the end of the day, I found by minimizing the amount of meds I'm taking, it's a lot less. It's going to be a lot less hard on me, or it's going to be a lot easier on me rather, when the time comes and I have to cold turkey it. I'll still be able to do stuff. So there's that. I've also got my medication comes to me in a blister pack. There's so many, and my brain is so full of holes that if I don't have them done up in a blister pack for me, I can't guarantee that I'll remember to take them at all or at the right time. And because of that, I've always got one extra. So I've always got a week more meds than I need. So that's good too. Hello, Peggy. How you doing? The Omega Code 2. It's a sequel to the 1999 film, The Omega Code, though not a direct continuation. It functions as both a prequel and a retelling. Okay. Well, there's 2 of you saying that. And then I will just notice. I will put 1 and 2. Might as well watch them both, right? Thank you. Lost a bunch of farmers, lost a bunch of farms too. Yeah. AP says that's why I like Poland. A little European Texas. Oh, yeah? I did not know that. Load of BS. I don't even think I can go to Canada. Yeah, Dazzer, it's apparently we're pretty stringent. It's ridiculous how hard it is for an American or an Englishman to come into Canada, because they like were found with just here's a random example. I have a buddy in Canada, cannot set foot in the States because he had a roach stuck in the bottom of his wallet when he was trying to cross the border once when he was young. And now 20, 30 years later, he still can't set foot in the States. So when his band travels, because they go to Poland and they go Poland, not Romania. I know they go to Poland and they go to a few other places in that general vicinity. Heavy metal's a lot more popular there. So they regularly travel to do shows in Europe. But he has to fly separately from the rest of the band, because the rest of the band can pretty much fly directly. But it's a stop in the States. Because he can't do that stop in the States, he has to fly completely indirectly, and it takes him ages to get anywhere. It's just ridiculous. And I've got friends in the States who, same thing. They had been busted with a roach or a joint as a kid, and they still can't come into Canada anymore. They're still not legally allowed. And yet we let people just wander in, claim refugee status, and we give them $80,000 a year. That's the stats. $80,000 a year. If you're a refugee in Canada with all the different benefits and aids, you're getting $80,000 a year. I'm on disability. I was born and bred here. I worked every day up until the moment when I couldn't anymore. And I am left, I've got less than $20,000 a year to survive on. And they get $80,000 a year. It's stupid. And then my buddy can't come and visit me from Seattle because he got busted with a roach in his pocket once, years and years and years ago. It's stupid. It's really dumb. Okay, I have not heard that, but Poland, the land of no fucks given and gorgeous women that can cook. It's literally the Texas of Europe. Okay, I've not heard that before. Good to know. And food is the best medicine, not the shit foods, but proper foods. Proper foods you have to cook yourself. And these days, I mean, have you bought vegetables recently from like a grocery store, a mass grocery store? Have anyone else noticed that they don't go off as quickly as they should and that they tend to be rubbery? I'm so glad it's summertime and I can grow the veg that I like. I've got 4 different types of bell peppers growing. 4 different types of bell peppers growing. And I can guarantee you none of them will have the shelf life, the ones that I buy from Walmart. But I also guarantee you they're not going to be rubbery. When I cut through them, they're going to be crisp and they're going to be crunchy when I eat them. It's wild what's being passed off as food these days. And a lot of people in this day and age don't even realize that that's not real food. It's crazy. Hello. AP's saying Canada is California. Yes, Canada is definitely the California of Canada. Or sorry, Canada is California. Kind of, kind of. More specifically, BC, where I live, is the California of Canada. Alberta is the Texas of Canada, which would make Saskatchewan would be, I guess, your Iowa, Oklahoma. What do you guys call it? The breadbasket? That's what Saskatchewan would be because that's where the bulk of our agriculture is, or at least the big things like wheats and grains and whatnot. Haven't had that problem with produce here. We still grow our own though. Yeah, see, and that's the thing. I grow my own produce as soon as I can, and I grow as much as I can to survive. But I have to buy produce from. Well, unfortunately, for the most part, I shop at Walmart now because they're the cheapest, and it sucks, but it's what I can afford. I've got no money, so you know. But yeah, the vegetables are rubbery. It's weird. Hmm. AP is saying no, they rot before they can eat that you can eat them. And Kaiser says he hasn't had that problem with the produce yet. So maybe it's not quite hit America yet. But it's definitely here. And yeah, that's the crazy thing because usually my fresh veggies will go off before I get a chance to eat them all because I'm the same way. It just yeah, I don't I like veggies, but I like them when they're all ready to go and I just have to grab them and start eating them. I hate the whole prep deal. So yeah, I usually don't get to eat all of them before they go off, but last I'd say 5-6 months at least. My produce that I buy from Walmart lasts a hell of a lot longer than it should. Um, I'm throwing out way less because it's lasting so long. And that kind of worries me because it shouldn't last that long. It really shouldn't. All right. Well, on that note, we're coming right up to the 2-hour mark. So I'll leave Faith and we can go on to that one next week. Yeah, AP's got it. Iowa, Kansas, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Michigan, and the Dakotas all produce our foods. California too. Yeah, BC, Alberta, and Saskatchewan produce the bulk of our food. And Saskatchewan is the prairies. It's all flatland. So the bulk of the growing happens out there. Like the mass like corn and wheat and stuff. It's done out there. I'm really lucky. I live in the Okanagan Valley, and it is beautiful. We can grow. There's plenty of vineyards out here. We can grow grapes really well, apples, peaches, pears, nectarines, apricots, plums, prunes, blueberries, strawberries, you name it. We can grow it out here, and it's beautiful. So I'm very lucky for that. And as soon as I can get food in the ground and growing, I do, because I much prefer to eat the stuff that I've grown. But on that note, I am going to let you guys go. I will be heading over to join Johnny. Just kidding. LLC. Here we go. Join me at Just Kidding LLC. You can find him on YouTube or on Rumble. I'm just going to go and hit the ladies and then I will join him. And other than that, I will see you guys in 3 hours. I'll see you in 3 hours for Chatting with Chat. So, I'll see you in a few hours. Bye.
Change from day to day. Science, art, or history's play. No path too twisted, no trail too thin. She dives right in where to begin. Is there anything, nothing's too obscure? She'll dig and dig a spirit so pure. From ancient lore to future dreams, every question finds its gleam.